Welcome back, everyone, to our playthrough of the career mode here in NASCAR Heat 2. So for those of you who have been following along with my coverage of NASCAR Heat 2, know that I am very excited about this next race because it's at a short track. We're headed to Richmond, and anytime we get to go to a short track, I am thoroughly excited. So we've got two races to go to the playoffs. Let's go ahead and back out for just a moment and take a look at our standings. So we've got Richmond and Chicago remaining before it's time for the round of 12 at Kentucky and get this thing started. So Kentucky, definitely not my favorite track, as we found out earlier in this season with the Cup car, but it's race one of the first round of the playoffs, so we will be geared up and ready to go for that. But for now, it is time to head to Richmond. All right, before we get the race started, let's take a brief look at the setup itself, and this will look familiar if you've been following along with the series, because this setup is very close to identical to what we've been using at most every track, with a few exceptions. And if I remember correctly, we finished 18th, or just inside the top 20 on our first visit to the track. So I wanted to give us a little bit better setup this time, a little bit more of a chance to move up, who knows, inside of the top 15, maybe even the top 10 if everything goes well. And what I've done for that is I've increased the right rear spring from 350 to 400. Then the other change I made was over in the miscellaneous settings, increasing the track bar from 8.5 on both the left and right hand sides to 9 inches on both sides. So we'll see how that goes, and if that will help us enough to crack the top 10. All right, so green flag here at Richmond, and as you can see, we are starting in the back. That was a decision I made, just to go ahead and start in the back rather than putting us in the middle of all that mess up there. Ooh. Wow. Okay, it's a mess up there. It's a mess back here as well. So, of course, we'll see just what a difference those tweaks we've made to the setup should have. Again, the car's still going to be really tight. That's not going to change. Let's see if we can get underneath here and make something happen. Our really only shot to get toward the front is going to be to force some things in this short of a race. Now, if we had a longer race, that it would be a wholly different system. But the way you're driving at this track, you are extremely aggressive through the corners. You're not out of the gas for very long. You can see I wasn't out of the gas for very long at all, and it was a lot less time than what the guys in front of me were out of the gas. So you have to get through the center of the corner really good, and if you can do that, you can drag race these guys down the next straightaway like you see us doing right now. Wow, these guys are practically, feels like they're stopping in the middle of the corner. But again, that's just an AI thing. They don't really know what to do around other cars. All right, so we're in pretty good shape here. We're up inside the top 30 after just a few laps. Let's see if we can keep that momentum going. All right, now we've got a little bit of free track for another couple of corners anyway. Coming off turn 2, you can be really aggressive with the throttle, and hopefully you should be able to mat it to the floor and keep it there on corner exit. So we've got a good run on Garrett Smithley, so we should be able to pass him without too much trouble. All right, now we have to figure out how we're going to get by these guys. Not my favorite thing to be around these guys whenever they get 2 and 3 wide, because they do some really weird things. So we're going to force it 3 wide, but we're going to stay on the bottom and hope they give us just enough room to come out the other end. All right, and they did, so we come out okay. So far, so good. Woo, good jab to the brakes there. Hard for me to get used to how quickly and suddenly these guys slow down mid-corner. All right, car is handling good. Like I said, it's still really tight. So don't get me wrong here. It's not like this is the exact setup I would use under open setup conditions, but given the circumstances, even as tight as it is, the car drives good. So now we're in 22nd, just outside, a few places away from where we finished first visit to this track. Heavy traffic here, so if you get stuck up on the top side, I don't care how fast your car is here, you're going to have a hard time making passes because the AI don't tend to give you much room and will not hesitate to bump you out of the way. So we may have to do similar tactics if we plan on getting by some of these guys. But right now everybody's behaving themselves pretty well and giving us room as we get position on them. Alright, I almost slipped up the track a little bit too much. You can see, if you look in the rearview mirror, nope, I do not want to get on the high side. Let me back that down a little bit. But you can see in our rearview mirror that we had somebody who was trying their best to get to our inside, kind of like what we're doing right now to number 4. So that's how they race in this game. So we have to adjust. And then, ooh, 5 car. Wow, it's a teammate I know, but good gracious. On corner entry, he made an abrupt left. Blocking is fine, but you have to accept the consequences if you choose to do it. All right, the 4 car, you can see, just has no desire to let us get to his inside. He's going to block us big time. I'm thinking about going to the high side, but that may turn out really bad if I do that. The good news is, though, even though that he's blocking us heavily, he is making up some ground. He's passing cars, so really all we need to do for the time being is just follow him through. And if he gives us room, we'll try to pass him. If not, we'll just continue to follow him. All right, pretty good run there off the corner. So far, I'm pretty happy with the tweaks. That's right, 4. I'm not giving you any slack. I'm going to continue to bang on that rear bumper until you give us some room. You can probably hear, hopefully you can hear the throttle as I'm having to get on and off the throttle a little bit more than I would prefer on mid-corner and corner exit. The first stab at the throttle is to try to get it to rotate. But then I have to generally lift again, like right there, to give the car a chance to set and get pointed in the direction I needed to for corner exit. Exit of turn 4 is a little bit different story because it's a wide arc on the exit as opposed to turn 2, which is a much tighter exit to the corner. That's why in real life when you see these guys at this track, the exit of turn 2 is a big issue for them because it's so tight and it flattens out so quickly off that corner. It's hard to keep the car rotating. Very easy to get up into the fence. All right, so we're here on lap 20. We've made our way up into the top 16, just outside the top 15. So we're already better shape than what we were in our first visit to the track. Like I said, the car is handling good. It's really, really tight, but that's okay. It's keeping enough speed out of the car that I can't just blast my way up through the field. And now everything is sort of spread out. This is where it can be a really good time and a lot of fun to race against the AI. If you catch them 1 or 2 at a time, then it can be a lot of fun. This is something that I hope they address next year in NASCAR Heat 3 or whatever they decide to call it. Because if they can improve the AI behavior and the speed of the AI in general, then those 2 things alone would make this a huge improvement I would really love to see that getting that 105 rating at a track. I would like to see that mean something. Now it really doesn't mean anything because you can do it with much less than an optimum setup. All right, so now we're into the top 15. We've got a little bit of a rhythm going here. I'm enjoying this. This is why I enjoy racing. Unfortunately, we don't get this enough in some of the races. Well, he left us a little bit of a lane down there. Unfortunately, I wasn't quite in a position to take advantage of it. But Matt Tift here is running some good laps. All right, let's try to get there and see if he'll give us some room. He didn't. I'm not sure what the 22 car was doing there down the back straightaway. I don't know if you noticed that, but he was way down on the bottom. Almost looked like he had a problem or had come out of the pits or something like that. But he's in 13th, so apparently he didn't come out of the pits. Maybe he was just blocking that far down the track. Like I said, the AI do some weird things in this game. Yeah, there he is. He's just running the very bottom for no good reason. Now it looks like he's trying to set up a pass. Didn't quite get it done. But yeah, that is an odd line to be running on both the front and the back straightaways. Oh, we got a wreck. Thank goodness for turning the caution flags off. So we're in 13th, and we're running out of laps here. About 5 laps to go. 4.5, I guess, at this point. We've got a good run. Let's try to clear the double zero. And Keselowski is not likely to give us any room at all. He doesn't. We'll try to set him up. See if we've got enough speed to do anything with him. He's going to leave us that groove at the bottom of 3 and 4. We might have something for him if we can get it done in time. All right, you can see he's running a more traditional line now, not blocking the inside quite as bad until we get closer to corner entry. All right, he's running some good laps now. This is going to be a difficult pass, particularly with only 2 laps to try to set him up and get it done. Oh, wow, that was odd. He must have blown a tire there. That messed things up big time. Because he slowed down going into turn 1 very quickly and very abruptly. Wow. All right, so last lap. I don't think we've got anything for Cole Custer here. I'm going to sail this bad boy in here and see if we can get by him. Ooh, that was close. That was close. All right, so we come away with a top 12. And that was pretty fun. That was pretty fun. Richmond is fun just automatically for me because it's a short track, and I love the short tracks. But overall, the AI did a good job in that race, given what we've come to expect from them, that is. Still lots of room for improvement, however. All right, so a very good finish. We come home 12th, 57 grand for the race finishing position, and 35 grand from our contract. Getting ever closer to that 7 million mark. Still wish we had something to do with that money. Something that actually meant something anyway. All right, fastest lap. No idea. Good job, Elliott Sadler, though, for running that fast lap. Ooh, Blake Cook. Nicely done. 32 laps. I don't know if you ended up winning that race because, frankly, I didn't look. But now we are getting right down to the end. You can see in the top left. Oh, we didn't complete the incentive contract goals. Okay, I'll see if we can live through it. But so you can see in the top left-hand corner, whenever we get back to, well, no, they're going to make us choose another one. We'll just go with, we'll go with normal for this one. Now you can see races to the playoff, 1. So now we're getting right down to it. One more race to try to earn any sort of points. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings. And let's go to the playoff standings. And the sad thing right now is Cole Custer, poor Cole Custer, needs 1 win. If we go back to just the regular points, you can see Cole Custer is doing great. He's in 7th. Plenty of points. He just doesn't have that win. All right. Now, if we go back to the playoff standings, you can see that we are 30 points behind Elliott Sadler. But, of course, those points really aren't going to matter. It's the playoff points that are going to matter once we get started. And we are tied with Elliott Sadler there with 4 wins apiece. Then our teammate Justin Allgaier is 1 win behind with William Byron, Eric Jones, and Blake Cook, each having 2 wins apiece. So a lot of victories to fill up this list. And as you notice, when we get down to 12th, there's Jeremy Clements, who is quite a bit behind on actual points, but he does have that victory, and it looks like that's going to get him in to the top 12. So everybody who makes the playoffs has at least 1 victory. So nobody's getting in just based on points. Then I look over to the right-hand side of the screen and under needs points, and I notice Kevin Harvick's name there. So Casey Kane as well, Eric Almirola, Brad Keselowski, just above that under needs wins, which is a little odd. I thought they had taken care of that issue of Cup drivers gaining points and being eligible for the playoffs in other series, but apparently not, because as we've already seen, Eric Jones is in the playoffs currently. Daniel Suarez is there. So we've got some issues for them to work out. Maybe not in this year's game. Looks like they've probably moved on other than some paint schemes DLC, but maybe for next year, we'll see. Plenty of things to work on. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more of our playthrough of the career mode here in NASCAR Heat 2.